Today again, I'll be talking about child abuse and neglect. I don't know when you hear about child abuse or neglect, what comes in your ears. Have you ever heard about somebody, a child has been taken out of the parent's hand or caretaker's hands and taken to a different place? And when you ask about it, you hear it's because of child abuse or neglect. This is a very, very serious health problem. Actually, according to CDC, it is a problem that can go from childhood and grow all the way to adulthood. And things that will be born out of that would be things like trauma. I've talked about a little bit about trauma, depression, and all these disorders. They can emerge from child abuse. Now, who is a child? A child is somebody who is 18 years and below, according to where I am. But it all depends on each and every area that you are in. And it's important for you to know the child age. So from where I am, 18 years and below. Now today I'll talk a little bit about physical abuse, I'll talk about sexual abuse, I'll talk about emotional abuse, and also neglect. What is an abuse? Abuse or a physical abuse is where somebody uses extra force, like to do something to harm a child. Maybe you're thinking is I'm correcting this child has been disobedient and I want to really shape or mold this child because this is parents' work. But then the way you do it, you have to be very careful. When you hit a child, when you use things like a belt and put a mark on the child and physically, you are abusing that child. You cause things like fear. You're causing fear. You are bruising that child. When you hit a child and you bruise them, more especially in the private areas. So if I come to you and say here, oh, you have abused this child physically, what I'll be looking in those kind of marks. Where did you touch that child? Did you use a creep or something, or did you pinch them to a point that you remove the skin? Then when I see a child who is maybe malnutrited, like weight loss, or this child is filthy, this child is not clean, feeding them, those are kind of physical abuse. And this can bring, as I said earlier, things like depression or things that will make a permanent damage in their life. When we talk about neglect, this is unable to meet child's need. Say, for example, you are a parent who does not meet the physical needs or the spiritual need or whichever kind of needs of a child. Maybe because you're not working, or because you don't know, or because of various reasons. And when I talk about physical needs, I want to think about the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Maslow gave us a very good picture of how a parent can take and use to provide needs for their children. And this starts from physiological, physically, you meeting their needs, you giving them food, you addressing them, you giving them shelter and all these kind of things. Then we talk about safety. You want to safeguard your child. A child is a very precious gift from God, and so you want to safeguard them. When you're leaving them while going to work, who's taking care of them? When you're leaving them, are they in a safe place and comfortable place? Is it a rainy place, or is it filthy place? Are you a holder? All those things you have to consider. That's their safety, and we say that safety is number one. If you are living in a house that has stairs, do you have the rails that they can hold when they're going up and down? Those kind of things is what we're talking about, safety. And then after that, every child has to grow or needs to grow in an environment that is very loving. A child needs a very loving, you have to love your child, you have to cherish them to a point that they feel loved. Then we talk about self-esteem. Are you this parent that pushes them and tell them, oh, you're not good, and or are you this child that tells them you look good, you encourage them? Then we're talking about self-actualization. Are you a parent who really motivates your child to reach the highest goal or their highest optimal of goal? Now, if a child is missing that, that's what we call neglect. And then there are signs. The signs are child do not want to attend school because now they are not motivated, or they miss school quite over and over. Those are symptoms. Then poor hygiene. They don't want to take shower. They don't really want to do anything. Things like nightmares, sleeping problems, isolation. And we do not really want to see a child isolated, because isolation can bring to hopelessness and bring them to depression. So this is a problem. You want to really make sure that your child is not neglected. Then things like regression. If a child has been doing well, all of a sudden there's neglect, they start regressing or going back to the earlier stage. And maybe they can also have self-harm. When we talk about self-harm, they'll be bored, and they want to really catch somebody's attention, and mostly they'll cut themselves, especially on the wrist. So you want to be very careful. Then when you talk about emotional abuse, we're talking about things that will cause them to hurt themselves, to feel, when they feel not loved, when they feel not worthy, they'll be feeling neglected, they'll feel isolated, they'll feel they're all by themselves. You don't want your child to feel all by themselves. That is that is not good. Lack of love, being threatened. When we tell children over and over again, go away, or so and so gonna push you, so and so gonna kill you, those kind of words you do not want to talk to your children. Another thing, I'm talking about sexual abuse. And sexual abuse is a problem. This is very traumatic. And this is when a child is engaged in sexual act without their consent. And I said 18 years and below. So they do not. A child of that age cannot consent sexual act. So things like fondling them, or penetration or sexual act, you shouldn't do. They shouldn't be done to a child at all. And so those are kind of things we're talking about sexual abuse. And so I want to tell you and to remind you, our children are precious. There are so many symptoms, and we want to understand. Every parent should understand all the neglect and all the abuse, and protect your children and protect our children. Because remember, the goal of this YouTube is to take care of us as individuals, and then community and society. And it all starts from an individual, and it all starts from a child. Then it goes to an adult, and then it springs all over the place. So I want to encourage you. Our children are precious. Take care of them. So next week, I'll still be addressing children to